I'm Archer. Welcome to the live stream. So I guess for starters, just say hi and hello. Good to see you, Rose. Oh, all right. So I'm actually gonna start by asking y'all a question, just to get things started. So, what are y'all reading recently, and what do you think of it? I've been reading The Carnivorous Carnival by Lemony Snicket and Dragon's Might by Melody Jackson. Oh my gosh, my words are not working. Oh, I haven't heard of that one, but I don't read a lot of horror, so. Alright, so I have a couple of questions that I got ahead of time from my sister. And then, so I think I'm going to go ahead and answer those, and then we can get into y'all asking questions. And this live stream is obviously to celebrate the release of, well, the re-release of Short Story Collection Volume 1, which I would show off, except it's on loan to a friend at the moment. But you can ask questions about that, or you can ask questions about just my writing in general, or me, or whatever. So one of my sister's questions was, what's my favorite story in the collection? And the collection is 4 stories. It's Silence, which is a sci-fi, and Carnival Hearts, which is contemporary, which is outside of my usual genre, but I had a lot of fun with that one. And Escape Room, which is another sci-fi, and Kython, which is a fantasy. And I like them all for different reasons. Officially, I think Kython is my favorite because I loved the world building for that one, and it was super fun to dive into that world. But I also love Carnival Hearts because that one was a lot of fun getting out of my comfort zone and just kind of practicing some different style of writing. And Escape Room is cool because it was such a mess the first time that I published this collection, and so it was really cool to clean it up and make it something that is still not perfect, but at least I can be proud of. So I like that one too. And then her other question was, what's my favorite change that I made in the collection? I mean, for Escape Room specifically, I really loved deepening the characters in that one, because in the original they didn't really have that much depth at all, or personality or anything. And I think they come across more like actual, fully developed characters this time. But as far as the collection as a whole, the original had a story in it called The Paladins, which is a prequel to a huge, gigantic fantasy trilogy that I'm writing. And the whole story was just a mess. So I took that one out completely and replaced it with Kython. So that change was also something that I like about the new one. So that was all the questions that I had from my sister. So go ahead and post your questions in the comments, and I will answer them. sit here twiddling my thumbs. I'm also open to just like conversation and stuff. So if you just want to chat and not ask specific questions, that's also cool. I just don't want to be sitting here talking to myself in a camera because I will quickly run out of things to say. Did I enjoy writing short stories, or would I have rather written a longer book? Both. I do enjoy short stories to a degree. I enjoy exploring different things with short stories, whether it's a genre that I wouldn't usually write, or a style that I wouldn't usually write, or if I'm writing from a writing prompt or something like that. I like being able to just show little snapshots of things. So I do enjoy short stories. But I also do prefer novels, generally speaking. And I would definitely like to publish more novels in the future. It's just that novels take a lot longer. So I haven't gotten one to the point where it's ready to be published yet. And that's a little bit of a bummer. But I'm getting there, and I will get there. So for now, short stories work, and they're fun in between. Hey Jane, how do I motivate myself to write? It depends. Sometimes I'm just motivated to write, obviously. Sometimes I look at like Pinterest for inspiration, particularly if I have a storyboard for a particular story that I can look at and kind of get back into my excitement for the feel of the story. Or I'll listen to music and use the music to inspire my writing. Or sometimes I just have to tell myself, okay, this story is important. I'm going to get it done, and I need to just sit down and write it, even if I don't feel like it. So it depends on the day and how I'm feeling about the story and that kind of thing. Android emojis are weird. Although, I kind of think that all emojis are slightly weird in their own way. Yeah, motivation is tricky. And I talk like I always fix it. I don't. I can be really bad about motivating myself to write. Oh, thank you. I got them from my great grandma. should have brought my sister in here. She would be making like snarky banter or something. Hello. Realizes I'm totally not looking at the camera. So, any other questions or comments or anything? And they can be about whatever, writing. What are my favorite themes to write about? As far as like overarching story themes, I don't know if I have a few that I tend to really like and go back to, but I do really like writing healthy relationships, whether they're romantic or friends or family or whatever. I really like healthy relationships and writing those into my stories. So I guess you could probably call that a theme, and that's what I really enjoy. Oh no, that's a terrible question. Out of all of the stories I've written, the list is like 80 stories long, I think. And I tend to have an overabundance of characters. So, oh man, my very favorite. I don't know. I have. Man, there's a whole friend group in one of my stories that I really love writing, and I really love writing about them together. Um, so the story is currently called The Shades and the Elect, and it really centers around this friend group. Um, but the three I particularly like are the main character, Maddie, and her friend, Brayden, who's super smart and like tinkers with everything and loves building things and like working on cars and all sorts of stuff. He's great. And he's also super sweet and protective and stuff. And then their best friend, Jeevan, who's super like, he's kind of a jokester and pulls pranks and stuff, but he's also really sweet and takes care of his people and stuff. So I really like those three. Whether or not they're my absolute favorite of all time, uh, it could be debated, but we're not going to go there because we'd be there all day. Let's see, there was another question here. Favorite book? Favorite book is either The Monster in the Hollows or The Warden and the Wolf King by Andrew Peterson. And those are books 3 and 4 of the Wingfeather Saga, which is my favorite series of all time. And they're just really fantastic and deep and genuine, and they're just really, really good. So I don't know which of those two is my favorite, but they're close. Do I ever take people from my personal life and write them into my stories? Yeah. Not necessarily frequently, but it has happened multiple times. My best friend has ended up turned into a character more than once. My sister has ended up turned into a character more than once. I think it's mostly those two who just get turned into characters over and over again. But I definitely have characters who draw influence from other people I know, but they're not necessarily like carbon copies. Not that all of the characters that are based on my best friend or my sister are carbon copies either, but they tend to be more comparable, whereas I just tend to pull traits from other people. Hey Emma! When did I decide I wanted to publish the collection? The first time, it was December of 2017, I think. I'd written a whole bunch of short stories as Christmas presents for family members. And I decided, well, I'd been printing them out individually with CreateSpace, so like doing all the formatting and stuff. But then I got toward the end and really lost steam. So the last few that I actually got done, I put in a collection and just published them all together. And then that doubled as my first publication. This time, I don't actually know when it was. A few months ago, I just decided this collection is a total mess, and I would like it to not be a total mess, and to not have a total mess of a publication up. So the specifics of how I changed this collection went through I went through a few ideas, and then finally settled on what I wanted to put in it. And then I just got working on it, and it was actually a lot of fun to redo and edit and that kind of thing. The first time, though, I actually knew that it wasn't really ready to publish. But I also had this impatience to get published. I mean, let's see, I was 15 or 16. Would have been, yeah, 15 or 16. And I had this irrational and unnecessary fear that I was not going to be published as a teenager, so I had to do it now. And so I ended up just publishing it, even though I knew really that the stories in it weren't quite ready. And now looking back, it's like, I've published twice more things that were at least relatively ready when I published them. And I'm still working on publishing, and even if I hadn't published those, it would not be the end of the world to not publish as a teenager. But yeah, younger me was not the wisest. Not that I'm the wisest now either, but I was really not that smart. What is my favorite book that I have written? That I've published or that I've drafted or that I've drafted and edited, because there are a lot. Although I think the answer is the same across the board. My book for National Novel Writing Month in November was a fantasy novel about a group of calligraphers in a world where writing history with ink from dragons allows you to set history in time, or set it in stone, or to rewrite it. But you're not allowed to rewrite it because that messes with the universe. And then the main character, one of her guildmates, rewrites time, and they have to figure out who it was so that the dragons don't destroy them all. So it's not. I really like the world building and the plot of that one, but it's more the characters. The characters and the world building and their relationships, because I really made it a focus in this book to build up strong and meaningful relationships between the characters. And so I'm really, really excited for that one. And I've actually been diving into revisions again recently, and I'm super excited to get it edited and published and all of that when it's ready. So that one's probably my favorite. Thank you. I'm glad it sounds interesting. Do I have plans for any more short stories or novels? Yes! So many. There are the solid plans, and then there are the maybe someday plans that I haven't done yet, but might if I finish the things that I do want to I want to work on. So Calligraphy Guild is definitely one that I want to work on. I also have a story that I'm rewriting from when I was 7 that I would like to publish someday. And I have other short stories set in the same world as Escape Room and Silence from this collection, as well as at least one series of novels in that world. And I have the high fantasy trilogy that I mentioned earlier, I'd like to publish, but it's taking forever, so we'll see when that happens. But someday I would like to get it published. And then there are other things, there are like spin-off things that I kind of want to do, but I haven't really decided if I could make them work or not, and a whole bunch of side projects, and yeah, there's a lot. Out of the stories in this collection, let's see. Most excited to include probably Kython. Kython was mainly written to explore the world that it's set in, because that world is a big project of mine, and I love the world, and I think it's super cool, and I have so much fun with it. So I was super excited to get to share a little bit of that world with Kython. So that was probably the one I was most excited for. Most reluctant to, or hesitant to, either Escape Room or Silence, because they're definitely better than they were when I first published the collection, but they still are not perfect, and I know they're not perfect, and I intentionally left them a little bit imperfect because, I don't know, I wanted to keep some of the spirit of the first edition in the newer one, I guess, if that makes sense. So I didn't want it to be too polished. I wanted to leave some of the original, flavor, I guess, of those stories. So they're still a little bit imperfect. But like I said, they're also way better than they were, and I'm confident and comfortable sharing them now. But it would be one of those two. Asking a writer if they have more ideas for stories is like asking a baker if they ever plan on baking anything again in the future. How does it feel to return to those imperfect ones? It depends a little bit. Those two, it was exciting to go back I mean, it was a little daunting, but it was also exciting to go back and to polish them up. And because I knew what my vision had been for them when I first wrote them, and I knew that they weren't there yet, but I was able to unearth some of that original intention in the revisions. So that's something that I love about editing, is that you get to kind of dive in and uncover what the author meant to say and really hone that. So that was really fun. With some of my imperfect stories, though, I just cringe. Like the one story that I just totally cut from the collection because I was just like, this is so rough and doesn't work in short story format, and just it was cringy. So no. Thank you. Yeah, I think I pretty much did my best on polishing Silence and Escape Room. I probably could have done a little bit more. But I tried to get pretty close to as polished as I could get. Oh, we're almost to a half hour already. Do you have any last minute questions or comments or whatever? Well, if there are no objections, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. The links for the new edition of Short Story Collection Volume 1 are... Oop, there's another question. The links for the new edition of Short Story Collection Volume 1 are down in the description if you want to go order it. What stories inspired the stories in this collection? Okay, let's start at the beginning. So, Silence is the first one in there. I don't remember any specific inspirations for that one. It was based on writing prompts mostly, and the world that I had already created, that I wanted to delve into more. Carnival Hearts wasn't based on any other stories, but it was based on the song of the same name by, oh, darn it, what's her name? Crystal somebody, I think. I don't remember. No, Kayla Diamond. I always say Crystal, it's Diamond. Kayla Diamond. And then Escape Room. Again, not so much based on another story. Kython, however, was inspired by Women of Kern by Maris McKay, which I pretty much recommend. It gets a little romantically graphic at spots, but overall it's really well done. So it was inspired a little bit by that. I feel like there was one other story that I was attributing the inspiration to, and I don't remember what it is now. But as I was deciding how to publish it. Alright, I honestly don't remember the first time very well. It was mostly just, hey, let's publish a book! But this time, there were some changes in the plan along the way. There were changes in what I was going to put in the collection. There were changes in exactly how I was going to, like, some of the technical details with KDP. But pretty much I knew how I was going to do it because I had published the Mirror Hunter Chronicles. And so I had some better experience under my belt at that point. So I knew that I wanted to format it and do the cover and clean up the formatting from the first one. Oh my word. And create some graphics and promote it mostly like I had promoted the Mirror Hunter Chronicles, and do a blog tour and that kind of thing. So yeah, there was a plan. And I also knew that I wanted to publish it on the anniversary of the first publication, which didn't 100% work out because I had technical difficulties that put off the paperback release, but it was close, and that was the intention. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking questions and chatting. It's been fun. All right, so I'm going to wrap up because we're at half an hour. We're actually a little bit over. Where did I get my pen name? My pen name is actually based on my real initials, but flipped backwards. So my initials are AMR, and I knew I wanted to do something either that had the initials AMR or RMA. And so I ended up with RM Archer. All right. So thank y'all for coming and for asking questions and chatting and hanging out. And I will see you later. Bye.